Another way that you can secure your certification authority infrastructure is that you can separate out roles of CA administration. And what you can do here, as we'll look at in just a second, you can separate the roles of CA administration into a CA administrator and a certificate manager. And what this does, it will prevent a single account from performing all of your certification authority administration roles. This is something that if you have the ability in your organization, if your organization is big enough, you have enough knowledgeable administrators, you might want to consider this, because then you mitigate the risk of having a single user be able to do a lot of damage to your certification authority infrastructure, because a lot of trust is going to be placed in that user or those accounts who have wide-ranging administrative privileges over your certification authority. For example, when you install CA services on a domain controller, there are 3 groups that have the ability to perform all the administrative tasks over the CA. And to show you what this looks like, I've gotten out the MMC Snap-in Certification Authority, and we'll look at our CA node here, which is this particular server that we're on, or that I'm on anyway. And I'm going to right-click and choose Properties, and then look at the Security tab. And notice here we have 3 groups: administrators, domain administrators, and the enterprise admins. All have the ability to issue and manage certificates and manage the CA. So what you might consider doing, again, is go back to the slideshow, is you might consider separating out these CA admin roles. So you might create a group, a specialized group for a CA administrator role, and another group or a single user for the certificate manager role. Very briefly, the separation of these duties would be that the CA administrator does the operating system specific tasks or just manages the service, so it can stop and start the service. It can configure the certificate manager's permissions, restrictions. That role would be configured by the CA administrator. And to administer the CA, the key thing is that it would use the manage CA permission. We'll show you that again in just a second here. The other role would be the certificate manager, and this role would manage all of the certificates by doing things like approving or denying certificate enrollment and installation. It would also be able to recover the archived key, and its permission, that really the key here is that it would use the issue and manage certificates permission. So to create the groups, you might do this, and I've done this in Active Directory users and computers. CA managers, CA admins are the 2 groups that would be used to separate out the tasks. And then I will go into the Certification Authority MMC console, look at the properties of the node, and on security, add a group. And we'll just show you this with one example here. I'll enter in CA, or the certificate manager group. So here we are. I just typed CA managers, and then OK, and then OK once again. And what I'll do for this group is that I will give them the permission manage CA. And then what I'll do is I can either remove some of these other permissions for other groups, or I can just remove their group altogether from the access control list. Now you know how to do this by now, so it's just worth pointing out again why we do this and maybe some of the steps, but the button pushing by now is not the challenging part. So this is how you would implement the separation of duties. Now there's one last step in this process, and that is you have to use the command prompt and run a command, and the command looks like this. Alright, through the magic of the pause, I've already entered in the command, but here it is. Cert util, and then with the switch setreg CA, and then the command or the specific switch is role separation enabled, and then the value is 1. In other words, you're turning this on. So this sets the value that will enable the role separation to occur after you've assigned the permissions in the security properties dialog box. And now all we need to do is stop and restart certificate services, and then once this step is done, we will have in fact configured a separation of CA security roles.